So let's see. We're going to start in a minute here, but first off, if there's any questions about the review, I haven't looked at everybody's yet. I'm still getting there. So I guess I should see questions. You can start there. For today's lesson, our objective is percent change, which is slide 12 for all of you that are going to ask. You didn't finish the review? Be working on it. I don't have it all looked at yet either, so just be working on it. Today's lesson really isn't too hard. My hair is not cooperating today. Today's lesson is not too hard. It's a formula, but be working on the review. If you have questions, please ask. With that, I will get answers out to you once I'm done looking at everybody's. But it's not in the grade book yet. It will be, so be working on it. I guess I should write the word percent. Okay, yeah, that's right, Miss. I have that written down. I don't know how long it takes you to get on, so let's try to end at. Well, actually, I have a feeling that you're going to end before 2 today. It's not a hard lesson, but maybe 5 minutes beforehand. Just when you think it's time to go. Again, this will get recorded, so you'll always have a copy of this. Does that have to do with anything? Well, no, it's important for me because I'm scheduled to go from 1:20 to 2. That's when your math class is. And a lot of times this stream goes longer than 2. I feel bad when it does that. I'd like it to be less than that, to be honest. That way it gives you time to sit there and actually work on things and not be overwhelmed with everything. But today it's not going to be too difficult, and I'm sure we'll finish before 2. I'll give you the quick lesson on how to do this stuff, and then it's pretty much on your own. It's not in your book though, so be aware of that. It's slide 12 today. I mean, I think it's actually like 12 through like 15 or something. 12 through 14, but slide 12 is where all the information is that you need to know. No, 120 is in 2 minutes. And we'll just stop before 2. We'll just keep an eye on the time. If it's going longer, just leave and join the other one. Again, what I do is recorded, so you'll always be able to look back on it and see if you're here or not. I mean, then you can always email me if you have questions. Today I plan on giving you the notes for how to do these, and then yeah, sure, Porter. If you want to tell me when it's getting close to 2, go right ahead. Thing is, I have to look at the chat to know, and when I look at the chat, I can see the time because there's a clock right next to it. So I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, we'll start in a minute here. Once give people some time. So then you have Ms. Holden at 2, and again she should probably leave a few minutes beforehand so you get time to get on. So again, I'll start by asking if there are any questions on the review. If you didn't get to it all, that's all right. There were a lot of problems on there, and I know we spent Friday looking at them still, but there's a lot on there. So if you're not done with it, I'm not too surprised. Just be working on it this week. If you are done with it, I hope to get to it and tell you which ones you got wrong and have you try them again, but that's going to be how much time I get on it. Other housekeeping. The other thing this week is Wednesday. There's not going to be a stream. You will still have an assignment, but there won't be a stream. This is because that's my day to go into school and grab things. So that's the day I can actually safely enter the building without increased risk of contaminating myself and getting COVID. So Wednesday, that's what I'll be doing instead of live stream. So I won't even be home to live stream. I'll be at school grabbing some stuff, and I don't know how long that'll take. So I'm just going to tell you right now, we're not going to stream. You will still have an assignment on Wednesday. We're not going to stream. 3 on the review. 3 says 3.34%. Move your decimal point 2 places, once, twice. 3.34. That's the decimal. If you want that as a fraction, that would be 3 3/34. Because again, this goes your hundredths place. So I just put that over 100. And reduce. 34 divided by, I guess, 2. Start with at least. Would be 15, 16, yeah, 17/50ths. So it'll be there. The reviews in your Google Classroom. Yeah, I forget what day it's under. I want to say it was Friday, but it might have been Thursday. I don't remember what day again. There's that. If you have questions on the review, you can email me or ask at the end of this. But let's finding part. Percent over 100 equals part over whole. Put it like that. You don't know your parts. So it gives you a percent, it gives you a whole. Put those two numbers in. 100 is a constant. That's your unknown. Solve for it. I'll do one at the end. Let's talk about today's lesson though. So let's get started with today's work. Yeah, let's get rid of that. We don't need that. So today we're going to talk about percent change. Percent change, or in other words, we also see this as a percent increase or a percent decrease. So you're going to be changing your numbers and your percent's going to see how much it goes up. So for example, if I give you an example problem, the first example from the slides is on slide 13. It says from 100 to 114. So if I'm increasing from 100 to 114, how much percent did that go up? So you want to change the change into a percentage. That's really all you're doing here, is how much did this go up or down. First off, just by looking at it, you should know your starting. So this is your original, and this here is your new. So you start with your original amount, and then you go up to your new amount. And you can tell right now that this is going to be an increase. If I'm starting at 100 and I'm ending at 114, my value is increasing. So this is definitely an increase problem. So just by looking at it, those are some things we know. And we're just going to plug it into a formula. There's actually a formula for this. So what you're going to do is you're just going to plug into this formula. And that's going to be percent change. Whether it's an increase or decrease, it doesn't matter. percent change is going to be equal to your new value minus your old value divided by your old value. And that's going to give you the decimal version of it. And once you find the decimal version, you want to make that into a percent. So you're going to have to multiply it by 100 times 100%. So this is the key to solving all of these. You just plug it into this and solve. So looking at our example, we're starting with 100 and we're going to 114. So I know my new value is the 114. My original, I guess we're calling it the old value here. So this is my old value. That's what I started with. This is my new value. This is what I end with. So you just plug it into this, and we're going to get your percent change, which I'm going to call that, equals your new value, which is 114, minus your old value, which is 100, all divided by 100, because that's your old value, times 100%. And then all what you do is solve that. Just remember your order of operations. This division is happening to both of these, so these are grouped technically. I don't know if putting parentheses there is going to help you, but they are grouped. So we're going to find the difference between these two. So your percent change is equal to 14, because 114 minus 100 gives you 14, over 100, because we're dividing by our old value still, times 100%. If you want to go the long way, the 100 times 100 divided by 100 are actually just going to cancel each other out. So you're going to be left with 14%. But to go the long way, 14 divided by 100, your percent change is going to be equal to 0.14 times 100%. And when you multiply that out, it's going to be 14%. So this was an increase of 14%. So your percent changed by going up 14. That's all there is to it. It's just plug into the formula and solve. Sometimes you have a decrease, meaning it's going to go down. You solve it the same way. Just pay attention and keep track of which one's old and new, because when it's a decrease, this numerator should be a negative number. And we'll do a couple more examples of each, and then I'll start doing some from the work, because this isn't in your book, but it is something you need to know. So let's do example 2. We're going to keep our formula, because the formula is not going to change. This is always going to be the same. You're just going to plug into this and solve. Example 2 is saying going from 2.0 to 3.2. So again, you should note that this is an increase. Really easy to note because the number is starting here. So this here is your old value. I guess I shouldn't use a line. I'll just write an arrow to it. That's your old value. This here is your new value. Just reading the context. You should know that because 0.14 times 100 is 14. Eli. Can you just make it into a percent? You move your decimal point 2 places. Let's see. Lost my train of track. You should note that this is an increase. So we are going up, right? We start at 2 and we end at 3.2. So plug it into this. You're going to get your new value, which is 3.2, minus your old value, which is 2.0, all divided by your old value, which is 2.0, and then you're going to multiply it by 100 to get the percent. So again, just remember your order of operations. You're going to do the numerator first. 3.2 minus 2.0 is going to give you, again, don't forget to borrow when you do things like that. Or I guess you don't have to borrow here. But just be careful with your subtraction. Make sure you're going to subtract that right. So I get 1.2. So I have 1.2 over 2.0. And then I'm going to be multiplying that by 100 just to make it a percent. So then 1.2 divided by 2.0 gives me 0.6. And again, I'm multiplying it by 100 to get 60%. My face isn't doing that. No. That is a decimal point. So 0.6 times 100 gives you the 60%. So this is an increase of 60%. Or just 60% would work too. The fact that this percent is positive tells me that it's an increase. Why is numerator first? Can you clarify that? I'm not sure what you mean by why is numerator first. The new number is first because we want to know the change. We want to know how much the difference is. The new number is normally larger if it's going to be an increase, so we get a positive number. If you flipped it, you would just get the negative version of this. And it would be telling you that it's a decrease, and that doesn't make much sense because it's starting at 2 and going to 3.2. If that was your question. We're going to do another example now. What if we go from because it's grouped together, it's all being divided by, I'm sorry, Eli. You're doing this first because it's grouped together. It's all being divided by the denominator. If you wanted to separate it out, you could. It's just probably going to be more work for you. I'll separate this one out if you want me to show you. So we're going from 4,000 to 8,500. Right away, you know that's going to be an increase. And plug it in. Your new number is here. This is your new number, and this is your old number. So again, whatever one you start with, so it says from 4,000, so I'm starting with the old, that's your old number. And whatever one you're going to end with in the long run is going to be your new number. So this would be new number, which would be 8500 minus old number 4000, all divided by 4000. This here, just so you're aware, Eli, is the same thing as 8500 divided by 400 minus 4000 divided by 4000. This is the same thing if you wanted to look at it this way. However, you still got to do this before you multiply by the 100. It's probably easier to do it the other way. That's just sharing your denominator. So here we're going to subtract the two. You're going to get 4500 divided by 4000 and times 100, and that's going to give you an increase of I'm sorry, we'll do this from 1.125 times 100, and it's going to give you an increase of 1.5%. And again, you're just moving your decimal two places when you multiply by 100. And this makes sense. This is an increase of 112.5%. It more than doubles. If you were to double it, you would increase at 100%. So 100% increase would be the 8,000. So this is more than the 8,000. So it's more than 100% increase. Yeah, we're going to do the percent change doc today. In fact, we're going to work on it. It's times 100 or 100%. It's more like times 100 and then make it a percent. We'll get rid of this and say that's as a percent over there. That might be better. Again, don't use the percent button in your calculator. 100% would be 1. So it's going to be times 100 to move it into a percent. Basically, you do new minus old divided by old and then get a decimal and make that decimal a percent. All right, let's look at a decrease problem, and I'm going to take one from the homework because, you know, I'll show you what happens when it's a decrease because all the examples were increases. It's not going to be much different. It's still just plugging into that formula. So let's look at, why did that erase? Let's look at number 8 from the homework. So this is your Google Docs. Let's look at number 8. It's saying from 60 to 48. In this case, you're starting at 60 and you're ending at 48, and you know that's 48 is less than 60, hopefully. So you know that this is a decrease. That's just gonna make it so that your answer should be negative. So you should be looking for a negative answer here. And there'll be a couple ways that you can write this. But you are going to be looking for a negative answer because your percent's going down. So how much did the percent go down? It's going to go down a negative percentage. And that's all what that negative sign means. It just means it's going to decrease. So you should be looking for a negative answer here, just because it's a decrease. Now you have a Google Docs that's attached as well. That's on this stuff. I would like you to work on that. It's still in the same chapter, so it's still kind of the same stuff. But here it's done the same way. This here is still your old price. Why do I keep drawing a line? I don't want to confuse you with division. This is still your old price, or your old number, and this is still your new number, just because of context. From 60 to 48. I'm starting at 60, I'm going to 48. So that's still your old, and this is still your new, but when you plug it in, you'll note that you get a negative answer for your numerator here, because your new number is 48 minus 60, all divided by 60. This part right here is going to give you a negative, right? 48 minus 60 is a negative number. So watch your integer work there. But you should be expecting a negative because it's a decrease. So we want this to be a negative number because we know it's going down. So 48 minus 60 gives us a negative 12. And again, we're multiplying that by 100. So here we have negative 12 divided by 60 times 100. And again, this part here is going to be negative. You have negative 12 divided by a positive 60. A negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative. So this should be giving you a negative decimal, or a negative answer. Really doesn't necessarily have to be a decimal. And that's that. We're going to multiply that by 100, and that's going to give you a negative 20%. So this is a decrease. There's two ways you can write this for me. You can just write the answer as a negative 20%. That is acceptable. Or you can say it's a decrease of 20%. You're either going to write the negative or you're going to say the word decrease. You're not going to put both, because then it becomes a double negative and they technically cancel each other out. So you can say it as negative 20%. Change, if you want to put the change in there, that's fine, or a decrease of 20%. Either way is fine. Yeah, your answer is going to be a percent. So it's going to be multiplied by 100 and put the percent sign. A lot of people say that's multiplying by 100%, but I can see why that could be confusing as well. This is number 15 in your homework. So let's look at this one. This one, the only difference here is that there's some context to it. It's saying a pair of socks went from $5 to $6. So this is really what we want to pull out. And it's asking about the percent change. So off to the side, we're just going to make ourselves a little key for the old value is going to be equal to this, and the new value will be equal to this. So the old value is going to be 5. It went from $5 to $6, and the new value will be 6. So this here is an increase. You should see that this is an increase right away. And then once you pick it out, it just goes right back to the formula. You're going to do 6 minus 5 divided by 5 times 100. And in that case, numerator first, because again, this is technically grouped due to the fraction bar being part of all of it. That gives you 1 over 5, which equals 0.2, and then times 100 equals 20%. So this is a 20% increase. And again, as long as you write it as a positive number, I'm going to know you mean increase. And if you write it as a negative number, I'm going to know you mean decrease. So you could just write 20% here as your answer. And do the fact that, hey, that 20% is positive, it's implied that it's an increase. Or if you write negative 20%, then it's implied as a decrease, and then that would be incorrect for this one. But if the numbers were switched, it would be all right. But yeah, that's it for how to do these. It's pretty straightforward and simple. You just plug into the formula and solve. Just watch your order of operations and watch decimal points and signs. Again, if it's decreasing, it should be a negative. So for answers 8 through 14, you should be getting negative percentages, and for questions 1 through 7, you should be getting positive percentages. And then give 16 a shot on your own. We can go from there. Are there any questions anyone has about anything? I know someone asked about a review question or something, didn't they? Even if you have questions on the review that was assigned last week. Now would be a great time. And if later on you come across questions that you don't know the answer to or something, you can email me as well. Try to get number 4. Number 4 on what, Catherine? The review or today? Yeah, you can say 20% increase either way. It's from 48 to 60. Again, this here is your old value. This here is your new value. And it's just 60 minus 48 divided by 60. Then you're going to multiply that by 100. And you just solve that. Again, 60 minus the 48. Well, first off, you should know you're going from 48 to 60, so this is an increase. So pay attention, you should be getting positive numbers here. So 60 minus 48 gives you 12. 12 over 60 times 100. 12 divided by 60 gives you 0.2 times 100 equals 20%. So this is an increase of 20%, or you can just say 20%. And go from there. 5 says from 32 to 76. I made these up, so hopefully these numbers aren't going to give you extremely bad problems. Again, this here is your old, this here is your new. Plug it in, you get your new first, 67 minus 32 all over 32 times 100, and solve. 67 minus 32 you do first, So I'm doing this part. 67 minus 67. 76, sorry, my dyslexia is kicking in. 76 minus 32 is 44 over 32. And you're going to multiply that by 100. 44 divided by 32 gives you 1.375. Multiplied by 100 equals 137.5%. So this is an increase of 137.5%. And that makes sense again, because if we were to double 32, you'd be getting 64. And this is higher than 64, so you know this is more than a 100% increase. And that is more than a 100% increase. Any other questions? It's really simple. All that you do is plug into the formula. New minus old divided by old times 100 equals percent change. Just plug it in and chug it out. All right, there's no further questions. Just a reminder, be working on your science. So just some things this week. Don't forget your science work. Quizzes are unlocked. Projects have been posted if you want to do them. If you want to use a different medium, but do like kind of the same information, like I think Eli just asked if you could do a slideshow instead of a website for the timeline. That's fine. The information's the same. How you present it, you can be a bit more creative there if you would like to do something a little different. Don't forget your math review. Be working on that. And then you're doing percent change today. So you have your percent change stuff. And on Wednesday, there will be no stream. Okay. When is science due? Try by the end of the month. However, if that's asking too much, I can push it for you. So science, try to get done by the 30th. So what is it today? 4:30 due date. However, if that's asking too much and because you have other things going on, you don't have access to certain things, and you're still kind of have family issues that are coming up, because I don't know how many parents work, stuff like that. If you can't do it, just email me and I'll understand why you can't get it done by then. So try to get it done by the 30th. If not, then let me know. I hope to have the test out by the 30th, so I hope to post the test and the quiz on the 30th. Number 3, I mean, it's all the same stuff. Remember, this here is your old value. This here is your new value. Don't let the decimals confuse you. You're still doing 4.5 minus 4 all divided by 4 times 100. It's still the same thing. New value minus old value divided by old value. In that case, you get 0.5 divided by 4 times 100. 0.5 divided by 4 gives you 0.125. Multiply that by 100, moves your decimal 2 places, so that's 20 or 12.5%. So this is an increase of 12.5%. Says from 240 to 90. A couple things you should note is one, it is a decrease, it's going down, and two, it's going down a lot. Like it's over half of it's going to be gone here. So keep in mind your number should be pretty big into the negatives. In this case, same thing, your new value, which is 90, minus your old value, which is 240, divided by 240. And you can see this time we are going to get a negative number up top, and that means we're going to get a negative percent in the end, and that's what we want because it's a decrease. So 90 minus 240, or 240 minus 90 and just make it negative, gives you negative 150 over 240. And you're going to multiply that by 100. I guess I should put times 100 here. You're going to multiply that by 100 to get the percent. So divided by 240 gives you negative 0.625. That times 100 gives you 62.5%, which is a pretty big decrease. So you are decreasing over half. 50% would be taking off half. You are taking off more than half. So your answer could be negative 62.5%, or you can say decrease of 62.5%. Either one of those are acceptable. Remember, don't put decrease of a negative number because two negatives make a positive. But either one is acceptable for this. And Eli's right, you guys got about 5 minutes. So if you have any more questions on this, send me an email and I'll get you some. Be working on the review. Remember, Wednesday, I won't be talking to you unless you email me. I'm not sure how my day Wednesday is going to be playing out. And so on that, yeah, I can do 16 real quick. That's the word problem. You should try that on your own. The only difference between the word problems is picking out the context. So it's just a reading thing. Don't let them confuse you. So Wexford had this many residents, so your old number is how much it had, which would be 460,960. And your new number would be the 806680. So hopefully you can pick that out just by reading. Yeah, you can go if you already know what's going on. New number is 806680. Old number is 460,960. Divide by 460,960, and you're going to multiply it all by 100. So again, just solve. You should note that it is an increase, so your number should be going up. So that's 806680 minus 460,960 gives us 345,720 all over 460,960. By that 460,960. And you get 0.75, multiply that by 100, and you get 75%. So you should be getting 75%. So again, questions, email me. With that, you guys got to get ready for Miss Holden's class. So I'm going to stop. I think Miss Holden only does Mondays with you. So just kind of remind me on Mondays that we have to end this a little earlier just so you could get that in. But again, any further questions, send me an email. I'm trying to get back as soon as I can. Have a good week. No live stream on Wednesday because I won't be around. And I will talk to you tomorrow.